Hi, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. We are back with the glossary of legal terms. The first phrase is misfeasance in public office. Misfeasance in public office is a specific legal action against the government officials who misuse their authority to cause harm. It requires proof that the officer acted knowingly, maliciously, or with a reckless disregard for the rights of individuals. Victims may sue for damages if they can show loss due to the misuse of power. The offense is distinct because it targets abuses of public authority rather than private conduct. It ensures accountability in governments and protection of citizens from arbitrary state actions. The next term is allonge or allong. An allonge is a slip of paper attached to a negotiable instrument such as a promissory note or bill of exchange for additional endorsements. It is used when the original document has no space left for signatures. Allonges are legally recognized extensions of the instrument. They ensure that the chain of transfer or liability is properly recorded. Its scope lies in commercial law, negotiable instruments, and a banking practice. The next phrase is joint tenancy. Joint tenancy is a form of co-ownership where two or more people hold the equal shares of property with the right of supervisorship. When one owner dies, the share automatically passes to the surviving co-owners, bypassing inheritance laws. It is commonly used in a real estate and a marital property ownership. Joint tenancy requires the four unities: time, title, interest, and a possession for validity. Termination can occur if one party sells or transfers their share, converting it into a tenancy in common. The next phrase is ambulatory instrument. An ambulatory instrument is a legal document that is subject to change or revocation during the maker's lifetime. Wills are the most common example, as they can be altered or revoked any time before death. The term emphasizes flexibility and a non-finality until a triggering event like death occurs. This ensures that a person can adapt their legal instructions to changing circumstances. Its scope lies in estate law, wills, and testamentary documents. The next phrase is joint enterprise. A joint enterprise is a legal concept where two or more individuals collaborate for a common purpose, often involving shared responsibility and a liability. In a criminal law, it can mean that all participants in a crime are equally responsible for the actions carried out during the enterprise. Civil law recognizes it in a context such as business or financial arrangements where profit and losses are shared. Liability in a joint enterprise depends on the degree of participation and intention of the parties involved. Courts often examine evidence of agreement, cooperation, and a mutual interest to establish its existence. The next term is amendment. An amendment is a formal change or addition made to a law, contract, or constitution or legal document. It corrects, modifies, or expands the original terms while keeping the main structure intact. In a constitutional law, amendments reflect a societal evolution and a legal reform. In a contracts, amendments are binding only if all parties consent. Its scope is in constitutional law, legislative process, and contract law. The next phrase is joint property. Joint property refers to property that is owned collectively by two or more people with equal or defined shares. Each co-owner has rights to use and enjoy the property, but it cannot act in ways that deprive others of their rights. This ownership can be created through inheritance, agreement, or purchase. Joint property is common in family arrangements and partnerships or spousal ownerships. Disputes often arise over management, sale, or inheritance, which are settled under property and succession laws. The next term is amortization. Amortization refers to the gradual repayment of a debt through scheduled payments of principal and interest. In accounting, it also means spreading the cost of an intangible asset like a patents or goodwill over its useful life. This process helps reflect actual financial health. It reduces long-term liabilities in an orderly manner. Its scope lies in finance, taxation, banking, and corporate accounting. The next term is bailee. A bailee is a person who receives goods from another, that is the bailer, under a contract of bailment for a specific purpose. The bailee has a legal duty to take reasonable care of the goods while they are in their possession. Ownership of the goods remain with the bailer, but a possession and control shift temporarily to the bailee. The bailee must return the goods once the purpose of bailment is fulfilled or as agreed in the contract. Failure to return or safeguard the goods can result in liability for breach of duty. The next phrase is joint venture. A joint venture is a business arrangement where two or more parties combine resources to pursue a specific project or commercial activity. Unlike a partnership, it is usually temporary and limited to a particular purpose. Each party maintains its separate legal identity while sharing profits, risks, and management duties in the joint venture. It is often used in international trade, construction projects, or technology collaborations. Legal frameworks govern liability, contractual obligations, and dispute resolution in such ventures. The next phrase is bail bond. A bail bond is a written agreement by which a person secures the temporary release of an accused from custody, promising they will appear in court when required. It often involves a surety, that is, bail bondsman, who guarantees the accused's presence, usually for a fee. If the accused fails to appear, the bond may be forfeited to the court. Bail bonds aim to balance the presumption of innocence with the need to ensure court attendance. This system is common in criminal proceedings and varies by jurisdiction. The next phrase is miscarriage of justice. A miscarriage of justice occurs when a legal proceeding results in the conviction or punishment of an innocent person or the wrongful acquittal of a guilty person. It is often caused by errors such as false evidence, coerced confessions, biased judges, or ineffective legal representation. This concept highlights flaws in the judicial process that undermine fairness and a due process. Courts sometimes use appeals or judicial reviews to correct such errors. Miscarriages of justice threaten public confidence in the legal system and are seen as violations of human rights. The next term is misconduct. Misconduct refers to unacceptable, unethical, or unlawful behavior, especially by someone in a position of authority or trust. It can include professional negligence, abuse of power, or actions contrary to established rules and duties. Misconduct may be classified as minor, that means negligence or poor judgment, or gross misconduct like corruption, abuse, or fraud. It has legal, disciplinary, and professional consequences depending on the context. In employment or governance, misconduct undermines accountability and organizational trust. The next phrase is bail forfeiture. Bail forfeiture occurs when an accused person fails to appear in court as promised, causing the court to claim the money or security put up for bail. The forfeiture acts as a penalty for non-compliance with the bail conditions. Courts may sometimes allow remission of forfeiture if the absence was justified or if the accused later surrenders. Forfeited bail becomes part of the state's funds in many jurisdictions. The process underscores the seriousness of adhering to court orders. The next phrase is misconduct in public office. This is a specific criminal offense where a public official willfully abuses their position for personal gain or cause harm by neglecting their duties. It includes acts such as corruption, favoritism, or deliberate misuse of authority. Courts treat it seriously because it breaches the trust between government officials and the public. The offense requires proof of dishonesty or willful neglect rather than mere error. It is intended to uphold the integrity of public administration and governance. The next phrase is bail jumping. Bail jumping is the criminal offense committed when a person released on bail willfully fails to appear in court at the designated time. This act constitutes contempt of court and may attract separate criminal charges. It often results in bail forfeiture and immediate issuance of a warrant of arrest. Bail jumping undermines the judicial process and erodes the trust placed in the accused. In many jurisdictions, penalties are severe to deter non-appearance. The next term is misdescription. Misdescription refers to giving an incorrect, misleading, or false account of something, particularly in contracts, advertisements, or property dealings. In law, it can render an agreement voidable if the misdescription materially affects the bargain. For example, if a seller wrongly describes land, goods, or services, the buyer may claim remedies such as rescission or damages. It overlaps with a misrepresentation, but it often deals with factual inaccuracies rather than intentional deceits. Its scope extends to consumer protection, property law, and contractual obligations.